Welcome. Welcome to Facebook 2019. My name is Lorraine Ball, and today I'm going to be your host in this conversation about Facebook and how you as a business owner can take full advantage of this tool in the year to come. My company, Roundpeg, works with business owners all over the country managing social media and social media advertising accounts. And I'm going to share some of my favorite tips with you today. I'm going to talk about some of the basics. I'm going to talk about cover images and content types. I'm going to talk a little bit about planning, and I'm going to close out the conversation by talking about advertising, because the reality is that today social media is a pay-to-play medium. So let's start with some of the basics. Facebook is a huge platform. When you take a look at how much it has grown, even since 2016, you see tremendous growth. Now, in the US and Canada, we've kind of leveled off at 226 million active users, but it continues to grow worldwide. And there continues to be huge opportunities if you're doing business around the country or around the world. So let's look at some basics. When it comes to Facebook, you really need to think about low volume but high value content. You don't have to post 5 and 6 times a day. As a matter of fact, you shouldn't. But one good post every day or every other day that's interesting and attractive is going to deliver a lot more value in the long run than simply flooding the feed every couple of hours. You really need to think about a minimum of 3 times a week. You want to make sure that you're active enough that people don't get bored and then miss you completely. Maximum 15 times a week. If you're posting more than 15 times a week on your company Facebook page, get a life. You need to be focused on other areas of your business. The only exception to that 15 times a week is if you're hosting a conference or an event. During the event, you can certainly break that maximum rule. And I want you to think about quality versus quantity. You are competing with so many interesting things on Facebook that you really need to have something of value if you want people to pay attention. When you're thinking about your mix of content and what you should be sharing on Facebook, you really want to follow the 50, 30, 20 rule. About half of your content should really be focused on getting shares and getting likes and being fun and being entertaining. About 30% can be focused on useful and informative information, how-to, interesting tips, links to articles. And only about 20% should really be very focused on sell, or buy. Because if you break this rule and you start sharing nothing but buy now, you really turn off people, because that's not really what Facebook is about. That's not why they come to Facebook. If you want to increase your reach, Facebook is making it harder and harder for businesses to get their content in front of a wider audience. And so what I would recommend is, first and foremost, put people in your posts and then tag them. And encourage people to tag themselves if they're featured in your photos. Answer questions and like and share content that other people or other companies post on Facebook. Make sure that you have alerts coming to your phone or someone's phone so that if somebody posts a question, you can respond in a timely manner. And then take the time to post on your company page and share it on your personal page. And encourage your employees to do the same. Respond, respond, respond. If someone takes the time to make a comment, like something, share something, you're going to get a notification. It takes a second to simply thumb up, say thank you, encourage people to respond by putting more content, by acknowledging when they interact with your content. Okay, let's talk about some basic design elements. I want to talk about your cover image and your avatar. Your cover image should be attractive. Right now we're telling people 851 by 315 pixels. That is certainly going to change because Facebook changes it all the time. But right now that's the correct size. And your avatar, the little square image, should be about 180 pixels. But it's not just the size that you have to get right. It is the content. You want to make sure that your avatar, the little image that appears here in the square, is recognizable everywhere. By that I mean you want to have the same avatar on every social media platform. And it has to make sense, not just when somebody views it on your page, but when they see it in the timeline. Take a look at this avatar and then look at what happens in the timeline. You see, most people, after they like your page, won't come back to your page. And so the only way they're going to see you in their timeline is like this. Your little image, the name of your company, and whatever content you're sharing. At a glance, this is not recognizable. I would have recommended that they take their little logo and just put it on a simple background, make it larger so it stands out. Because not only is it not recognizable on my big computer screen, imagine I'm looking at this on my cell phone. What are the odds that I'm going to, at a glance, know who this is? In contrast, I think Union 50 does a fabulous job. Their avatar is very simple. Their cover image is attractive, but if I don't come back to their page, when I see an update from Union 50, look at how nice that looks in the timeline. And even on my phone, I recognize Union 50 everywhere. And sometimes all it takes is a little change to what you already have. This company, Duck's Donuts in Pittsburgh, I selected them. I don't really know them, but I think they should hire me. See the problem with the avatar? When you see it in the timeline, it's too small. And here's the thing. It says Duck's Donuts, so why do I need it in the avatar? If I was managing this account, I would change it to focus on just the duck so that when I saw it in the timeline, it was much more recognizable and much more memorable. And one other thing. Periodically, you want to change your cover image. Why? I mean, I know I just said that people don't come back to your page, but changes in your cover image tend to get shared in the timeline a little bit more than other status updates. And so have a schedule, maybe once a month or once every 6 weeks, of changing your cover image. And don't forget about your sidebar. You have an opportunity to select what appears in your sidebar. Pick and choose the things that make the most sense for you. You can edit your page. When you go to edit your settings and you edit your page, you can pick and choose what's going to go in the sidebar and in what order. So you can decide what people will or won't see when they come to your page. Okay, So much for the setup. Now let's talk about what you're sharing. You have lots of choices when you go to write a post. You can share photos and videos. You can share simple text, but nowadays, even simple text, you can pick a colored background or a little bit of texture to make it stand out in the timeline. You can also share all sorts of other things, including feelings, get calls, send messages, advertise your business. Facebook has really simplified this for business owners to make it easier than ever for us to do all of our activity from one window. You have the opportunity to add some of these colored backgrounds. I would probably avoid most of these on a business page. They're cute on your personal page, but I don't think they're great on a business page. I would suggest using custom graphics instead. Some simple text tips. Link to things on your website. If you're going to spend time writing blogs, promote them on social media and include the link to your website and to your blog. If you're looking for interesting and fun information, think about trivia and tips on how to use your product and little known facts. We found that a travel agent who shared all sorts of obscure details about different cities found that she was booking more trips to the cities that she shared trivia about. Experiment with fill-in-the-blank questions. If I could do one thing today, it would be, and leave a blank. If you're going to do fill in the blank or question of the day, make sure it's something easy that people can fill out quickly, because they're not going to be, in most cases, doing it from their computer. They're going to be doing it from their phone. Don't expect that people are going to write a paragraph and answer to a question or a fill in the blank. If you're going to run a contest, make it easy. And if you're going to do a poll, make sure it's a simple 1-2 choice. And if you're going to do a question of the day or something that's part of a series, use a prefix to let people know to look for it regularly. My friend Robbie does a question of the day. He has actually done it every day for several years. And so most of us who know him have come to look for his question of the day. Facebook is a visual medium, and posts with images will get 120% more engagement than just simple text. Remember, I said that you're competing with all sorts of other organizations to get people to pay attention to your content, and images are one of the best ways to get people to pay attention. If you're thinking about adding images to your posts, the best size right now, and I know I say right now a lot, but Facebook does change their rules from time to time. But right now, 120 wide by 630 tall really fills the space nicely. So if you use that ratio, even with smaller images, it's going to use the space really nicely. One thing you should remember, however, is to pay attention to the image margin. Sometimes it will crop right around the edge. And when we designed this for one of our clients, quite honestly, we made a mistake and we put their logo too close to the edge. And so what happened was we ended up cropping off on certain screens the last letter of their name. So make sure when you are designing that you keep any text you're going to put in that image a little bit away from the margin. and it's called Facebook. And so images that include pictures of people are more likely to perform much better than images of objects and things. This was my team at a recent conference, and this got shared and shared and shared again because people like looking at pictures of other people. When you're using images with your status updates, I want you to keep something in mind. If it's just going to be for a status update, you can put text in the picture. But if you're thinking that at some point you might want to boost or promote the post, you might want to use an image that doesn't have a lot of text in it and rely on your description in the link instead. Why? Because Facebook has a 20% rule. If more than 20% of your total image is covered by text, you cannot use it for an ad. So one of the things that we do is very often we create two versions of the same image. The one that we're going to use in the timeline and the one that we're going to use for our ad. And you'll notice that this one has the title that says Getting Started with Email. When we use this in the ad, we'll simply have that as the introduction or the suffix, and we will not use it in the picture. And when it comes to images, more is better. Albums and multiple images are likely to get up to 180% more engagement than text. But there is a limit. Particularly if you're just doing an album, you want to keep it to somewhere between 3 and 5 images. Because if I'm scrolling down the page and I see an image that interests me and it says plus 20, telling me there are 20 more images in that album, I'm actually more likely to skip it because I don't have time to look at 20 pictures. But when it comes to uploading pictures, you have several choices. You've got single uploads, albums, carousels, or slideshows, or you can create a canvas. And these canvas or interactive ads allow you to mix both images and video, but they are only visible on mobile devices. So you want to think carefully if you're going to put the effort into creating that if a lot of your community is actually using Facebook on a desktop. Multiple image collages like this one. 3 images usually work really well. And don't be afraid when you upload the images, if the wrong image gets the top feature or the dominant feature, delete them and start over and get the order right so that it presents the way you want it to. 3 images will give the best interaction, and these are great for one-time topic. If you've got something that isn't really connected to anything else, go ahead and use a collage. If you have a reoccurring topic and over time you're going to be adding more images, you might want to create an album so you can easily go back and find the pictures later. However, Facebook used to, every time you added new pictures to an album, kind of republish the album in the timeline. They don't do that anymore. And so if you really want to be sure that people are seeing the pictures, you want to do them as separate posts. The carousel. A carousel is a series of images that you kind of slide through one at a time, and then there's another and another. They get great click-through rate, and they're wonderful if you want to tell a sequential story. If you have 4 photographs and you want to show people kind of step 1, step 2, a carousel is a really nice way to do that. It is a great way to drive web traffic, and It works best if the images are in portrait view. This is an example of a carousel, and you can see that as we build it, we drop the images in, and then we can actually edit the text, and we can edit the calls to action. You start by selecting that you want to share photos. You want to make a carousel. The nice thing is you can put a URL right here that tells people where or allows you to tell Facebook where to send people if they click on the carousel. You can also do a slideshow, and these tend to have higher reach and engagement because they display in the timeline like videos. It's ideal if you want to grow your fan base, and 4 to 6 images works really well. Don't forget the branding, but don't necessarily put the branding on that first slide. Why? Because if you're going to use it for advertising, you don't want Facebook to see the logo first. You build a slideshow pretty much the same way you do a carousel. You drop your images in one at a time. It works much better if all the images are the same size and shape, and then you can actually preview it to see how it works. You can decide how long you want each image to be on the screen, and you can select whether you want fades or other transitions. And then when they appear in the timeline, it looks like a video, and it will start auto-playing just like any other video. Facebook Live. And while I'm on the subject of video, I really want to talk briefly about Facebook Live. Facebook sees themselves as the next competitor to Google's YouTube. I'm not sure that that's really going to happen, but they are pushing their video. And Facebook Live is a wonderful way to get a quick message in front of your community. If you're going to do Facebook Live, make sure you promote before the broadcast. Let people know when you're going to be on the air. Prepare and practice. Live does not mean sloppy. It shouldn't be stuffy and stilted, but it should be polished and to the point. You want to keep your broadcast short, a few minutes at best. Make sure you set your phone to airplane mode. You do not want any incoming calls while you're trying to send an outbound video. Make it personal and fun. If you're curious as to what a company Facebook video could look like, drop by the Roundpeg Facebook page any Monday at 11 o'clock. I'm always interviewing one of the team members, and we talk about things going on at Roundpeg. And optimize the recording. You are going to get a lot more interaction after the live video is over. We typically post the video on Monday at 11, and a few people watch it live, but we get a ton of interaction afterwards as people drop by Roundpeg throughout the day. We also share it to our personal pages, and you can download a Facebook video and put it on YouTube or put it on LinkedIn or share it on Twitter, so people who are not active fans of your Facebook page can still get to see the content you're creating. And then look at your results. Do you get more interaction if you do a video at certain times of the day, or are some topics more popular? I'll let you in on a secret. I rotate between all of my team members, but one of the guys on my team, his parents always watch the videos when he's in them, and they share it with all of their friends. It's not scientific, but I know which of my employees have the best audience, and so I'm more likely to include some of his video on the page. Let's talk about planning and metrics for a minute. It's really a pretty easy process. When you're thinking about Facebook, you shouldn't be doing it necessarily all in the moment. You can plan ahead. You can schedule content. And so what we tend to like to do is have sort of a worksheet like this where we kind of think about, well, what should our fill in the blank be this week? And what should our question be? And if we're going to do photos, what kind of photos do we have, or what photos should we be looking for throughout the week? If we're going to link to blog posts or tips and facts, we try to get those organized up front. So when I sit down to schedule my content on Facebook, I can do the whole week or 2 weeks at the same time. And then I think about what's my hard sell for the week and do I have one? And whether we're doing social media for Roundpeg or for one of our clients, we really like to keep these buy now very limited so they really stand out in the timeline. And something else I really want you to remember is that a good digital marketing program connects social media and email marketing. Facebook, along with LinkedIn and Twitter, are great places to find new prospects. But once you get these folks into your circle, you really want to drive them to sign up for your email list so that you can stay in touch. Why? They're already connected with me on Facebook. Why should you care about putting them on your email list? Because on Facebook, you are competing with cats and kids and all sorts of other information. But when you send someone an email, even if it's just for a moment or two, you have their undivided attention. And so, as you're putting content on your website and you're building in opportunities to drive people to social media and other places, you need to be measuring what's working. What kind of content works well? You can see, does your community like video, links, or photos? Are they more likely to click on one? Are they more likely to share another? You can also look at each and every post and see times of day and what kind of content people are enjoying. You can see when they are engaging. Was there something that happened on this particular day that really drove interaction? And did you forget to post for a couple of days? The data will tell you when your fans are more likely to interact, engage, and share. And you can look at these two things side by side. When are you getting the most interaction, and when are you posting content? You can see who engages. Do you have a younger audience? Are there more men or women? Are people from certain parts of the country or the world more likely to swing by? And we did this for our website, and it was really interesting. As a woman business owner, I have more women friends on Facebook, and so I assumed that my audience would be comprised of more women. What was interesting was more of my fans were women, but more of the people who actually engaged with our content was men. For us, because our business is targeted both men and women, I thought that was an interesting statistic. I worked harder to invite more of the men who were engaging to become fans and try to grow my community that way. And also I targeted several of our ad campaigns specifically at men. They were more likely to interact with us, so we tried to bring them on board. There is a graph that shows when your fans are online, but pretty much every company I've ever worked with has this same humpback whale. Interaction drops off as you approach midnight. It picks up again as the day begins. It's pretty steady. It may bump up a little bit in the late afternoon and then start to drop off. If you look at this graph and it doesn't look like this, it looks like something different, then I think you have something rare and you should capitalize on it. Be sure you're putting content up when your fans are ready to interact. Okay, I talked earlier about the fact that you do need to think about advertising. When we started building Facebook communities for clients almost a decade ago, it was the kind of wild, wild west. You put content out there and everybody came and loved it. But as the years have progressed and the community has gotten more and more crowded, you really do have to pay to get noticed. And the reality is, this is how Facebook makes their money. You know, we all use this platform and we think it's fabulous that we use it for free, and that is fabulous, but the truth is that Facebook's got to pay the bills, and they pay the bills with advertising. Now, that's not without controversy, and in the last few years, Facebook has certainly had their share between the privacy violations on Cambridge Analytica or giving people access to Facebook portal videos when you think you're sending a private message and it's not really. We've also seen some issues regarding targeting where people are making advertising selections that actually discriminate against or aggressively target certain communities. And because of that, Facebook actually has started turning off some of their fine-tuning on their targeting tools. And the last controversy, and this was very recent, was that Facebook was actually over-reporting how videos were viewed. And where this became a problem was people were making decisions about using video on Facebook. And I still think video is good. It's just not as good as we all thought, because Facebook was intentionally, unintentionally, they were inflating their numbers. So with all the controversy and all the questions surrounding Facebook advertising, should you advertise? Yeah, I still think you should. I don't think it's the be all and end all, but I do think that it does give a boost to your marketing. So if you're going to advertise, here's some things you should keep in mind. The first thing is you got to figure out, why are you doing this? You've got a lot of choices. You can drive traffic, get people to call you, to buy. You got to decide what's the outcome you want. This is not just to build awareness. That's what the organic side of social is for. And so as you start creating your ad, decide, do you want to promote your Learn More button or get more visitors to your website? I'm going to suggest that the get more visitors to your website is a much better use of your money in most cases. Start designing your ad. Put in that URL and Facebook will grab an image that is the featured image from that page. You can change it, and you probably should. If your featured image is like mine and it's very text heavy, I can't use this in an ad. I can add additional images, or I can simply replace this one. And so when I was building this ad, you can see what I did. I changed it to something that just had a little bit of text down at the bottom, so I wasn't in violation of my 20% rule. Also, I put in a custom URL because I didn't want people just going to my home page. I wanted them specifically coming to this boot camp. And I could choose what I wanted my button to say. learn more, download, book now. I wish there was a register now button. That isn't currently available. I hope that they will change that. Here's where the real magic of Facebook comes in. When you pick your audience, you can decide, do you want your fans to see the ad, or do you want to exclude people who are already your fans? Do you want to make sure that you reach out to people who are friends of your fans? If you're in a home service business, this is definitely the category you want. Why? Because the people who already love you probably live next door to someone who has a home just like theirs who could use your service. You can also create custom audiences by focusing on demographics and interests, and I'll show you in a moment how to do that. Or you can do something that I think is really cool, which is clone your email list. Particularly, again, if you have a geographically based business, you're a plumber, you're a roofer, you're a flooring contractor. If you've got a list of customers and people you've done business with, go ahead and upload that list to Facebook. And then tell Facebook to clone it, to use the information that they have about the people on your email list to identify another group of people who have the same characteristics. Odds are you're likely to get an audience that lives in the same communities and owns the same kind of homes as the people that are already on your list. You can also do it geographically by picking states, cities, zip codes. You can decide whether you want men or women or both to see your ad. You can select certain ages. You can also target by interest and hobbies. You can pick people who like gardening or who like sports or art. These categories are one of the places that Facebook has pulled back a little bit because there was just some real abuse on some of these hobbies. Next, you have to set your budget. And you can set a daily budget, you can set a total budget. What I like is that Facebook will tell you, well, if you're going to spend $50, you're going to get between 50 and 90 clicks a day. And you can decide how long you want to run the ad. Make sure you pick an end date or a total amount. If not, the ad can run indefinitely and you'll keep spending and spending. I typically recommend people run short ads, see how they work, and then go back and do them again. Adjust and go back. I also really like that Facebook will show you how your ad is going to look on desktop and on mobile and Instagram mobile. And so you can create one ad and make sure it's going to look good everywhere. And finally, you want to track the results. You want to look at how many people did you reach? How many impressions? What's the difference between reach and impression? This first ad reached 5,400 people. There was 7,200 impressions. That means that some people saw the ad more than once. How many people clicked through? Well, on that first ad, 351 people clicked through. We actually had, of the 351, we had some people who came back more than once. And we picked up 3 new fans. That first ad was all about driving traffic to our website to get people to sign up for our digital cookbook. The second ad was specifically to grow the Facebook community. And so in this case, we paid $74 to get 198 new fans. We know that for this customer, every fan comes back several times and stays engaged. And so for this client, it makes sense to advertise and promote the business to generate new fans. If you have questions, now's a great time to ask them or reach out afterwards by sending me an email at roundpeg.biz. And if you're interested in getting ready for Facebook 2019, you can schedule a social media audit today. We're taking a limited number of clients, and we will audit your Facebook along with that of several of your competitors and give you an outline for what you can be doing to improve your social media next year. There'll be a link in the follow-up email. If you have questions, I'd love to hear from you.